silence.
Welcome to This Week in Real Estate with Jonathan Harmon. Listen in as him and other members of the J. Harmon Home Team speak about all things real estate with local experts here in the Middle Tennessee area. Be sure to check out jharmonhometeam.com for more information and how to get in touch with our amazing team. Welcome to the show.
Trent, that was outstanding. That was the first time we run that intro. That was good.
The music gets me hyped. You know?
Man, and it had like that intro is like the final countdown.
It really is.
Yeah.
Brian called me out on the last one because he said it's giving really strong Home Depot vibes, and it stuck with me heavy. So I was like, we got to switch that up.
That was
because it really does.
Yeah, I'm inspired,
okay,
man. Like
now
I'm
we're
moved
ready.
right now.
I feel like we're ready now. We're gonna take over the planet just because of that intro.
Well, welcome to This Week in Real Estate with the J. Harmon Home Team. I'm Jonathan Harmon. This is powered by Keller Williams, and we have one of the Keller Williams elite in our area here with us today. So I'm pretty excited about that. We have Miss Sara Stephens. What is your actual title? Because I hear she and all this stuff. So
I love that.
Jonathan, what are you?
I'm pumped and excited with our great intro music. So my official title is operating partner.
Okay.
My goal is to help our real estate agents have the absolute best experience in building real estate businesses. So operating principal is a placeholder for that. I have our Murfreesboro market, Music City, our Nashville market, and then Franklin.
Okay. So operating partner, does that mean, are you a licensed real estate agent?
I am a licensed real estate agent.
Do you sell houses?
I don't sell. My husband does any of our mostly investment properties, yet any referrals go through him. My focus is on building real estate brokerages. And so I work with the brokerage model. Our leadership team's there to deliver high value for our agents so they can have profitable and successful businesses. And then ultimately, life by design.
That's it. I love that. And that's a big Keller Williams thing is, what do you want to do? Right? It's not how many houses do you want to sell. I mean, that's a means to an end, but what is the life that you want? Right.
That's it. It's really who do I have to become to have that life that I want to live? So our motto is business objective, life by design. The opportunity to build businesses as big as they need to be to create the opportunities that you want, not just for yourself, yet for those people in your family, in your community, and in your business world, just like you've done with the Harmon team.
Awesome. Thank you. So I'm in the process. I've read it once and we're going through it again. My wife is reading it and I'm reading it. We listen to it on Audible, full disclosure. And
it's all right.
It's hard to read when you're driving all the time, you know, but anyway, reading Atomic Habits. So phenomenal book. If you haven't read that before. But one of the things that it gets into is not what do you want to do, but who are you? Right? Like, who are you? I am someone that, whatever, right? Fill in the blank, that makes 20 calls a day. I am someone that is fit. Well, if I'm fit, then there's things that I have to do in order to get to be fit. But you got to tell yourself I'm fit. I don't know. That's
right. I love that. Well, and what a great time to be talking about that conversation at the beginning of the year. So it goes into, right, I am fit. I'm an opportunity maker. I meet with people and create opportunities every day, right?
And then you fill in the blank with the tasks that get you to be who you say you are.
That's
right?
exactly
Because nobody wants to be fake. Nobody wants to be phony. So if you're telling yourself I'm fit and I'm, 40 pounds over, I'm not fit, by the way, and I'm 40 pounds overweight, I'm a liar.
Let's talk about that. So what's your affirmation? What are you saying to yourself this month? Who is Jonathan? And then we can unpack the habit around that.
Gosh, look at this. Who's hosting this podcast? What is going on right now? I wasn't prepared for that question. I was going to have you answer questions that you weren't prepared for. I would say for me this year, it is, I can't exactly say what's in my head, but who I am this year is I am someone that has my stuff together. And I say that, and it's a little tongue in cheek, but I have not had all my stuff together. There's been with opening this business and managing the real estate business and this business being Cedar Glade and some of these others, man, it's just been, what's the most prevalent crisis right now, right? And so it's been a little haphazard. And that's exhausting.
I love the vulnerability in that. And I think that this market, we're here to talk about real estate, right? So the market has created a natural opportunity to pivot, to say, wow, over the last 4 or 5 years, things have been moving so fast. There hasn't been the opportunity to create that space or the intentionality around those habits.
No,
so
you're
what a
just
great
grabbing
opportunity.
whatever's coming.
It's coming.
Yeah.
We're rolling. We're slinging to make
And
sure that we can move fast.
And there's a time for that, right? And I think it's okay that happens sometimes. And I think you get through it. But I think that being able to pause and go, okay, now let's get purposeful about some of this stuff.
That's right.
And that's hard.
And it goes back to the habit piece of it, right? Like, to be purposeful about the habits. You lead a large team, you have a lot of businesses. And so it starts with you. And I love the vulnerability in that, because if you're feeling that, so's the team. It's the opportunity to recore, to get real, to get right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've done the same thing. I know you're talking about habits, and, in reflection for this year, my word this year is transform, right? And to transform in those key areas, or first in the affirmation or mindset around it, and then second in the habits. So January is about mindset. And the mindset piece of it is strong in mindset, no matter what's going on, what chaos is happening in the outside world. So really focused on that and the habits around that this past month.
We talk all the time in the real estate business, and especially at KW, about this concept of mindset. And it's always been I don't know what the word here is. It's a weird term to me. And the reason for that is, I guess maybe I just don't understand. And it's become almost a word that people just throw out there. It's all about the mindset. It's all about mindset. And to me, it's about resilience and then trust, right? So trusting yourself and trusting your team. And that's, to me, and I guess maybe that is mindset, right? But for me, it's like, okay, I have this idea and I'm pretty sure it's a good idea, right? And then I either build out the idea, build out the tasks that make the idea happen, or I pull in the key players that will build out the tasks that make things happen. The Michelles, the Bretts, the Brabias, the Trents, people like that. And then I trust that they're going to do it, right? Manage it, but trust it. But then the real piece of that is the resilience of when one of them doesn't, right? Or when I don't, is it still a good idea? Or because I hit this little bump in the road, am I going to fall apart? Right. And that's the resilience part of it. But I think there's also a piece of that. The resilience also says, I'm strong enough to look at this, and we've hit several bumps and we've shot all kinds of holes in this grand idea. Maybe it's not such a grand idea. And that's okay. And it's not going to crush me because we scrap something that we spent time on.
Yeah, I think that you're talking about that neutrality, right? Regardless of the situation, I'm not going to be crushed. I'm going to be neutral around it. And that's really hard to do when things get hard.
Oh, and neutral doesn't mean you don't feel it, because sometimes you get in it and you're like, oh my God. And I mean, you get a little depression, you get a little anxiety, you get a little woe is me. You get a little like Wile E. Coyote, the rain cloud following you, That's it. And when Wile E. Coyote comes on, it's okay to have all those feelings, right? And then it's, what do I do with them? So how long do you dwell?
How long do I dwell? Who's my crew? Who are my top 5 people that are going to pull me out? Jonathan, come back to us, right?
Slap you around a little bit
for too long. So I think that a lot of people are facing that. I love what you said too about knowing when to eject the process. Gary was talking recently in a conversation about the evergreen mindset. And that's what you're sharing right now, where it's, I'm looking 10 years out, 5 years out, 1 year out. And yet right now in this moment, this is how it feels. And really to find those players in your court to say, hey, I'm going to put this past my thought partner that's going to help me pull out really quickly. Or I'm going to put this past my thought part that has that positive mindset. So I know my players that I can go to depending on the state of mind that I'm in.
Yeah.
That's
well,
huge.
and so I'm sometimes way too positive, like way too, this is a great idea. We're going to sell 1 million houses like this. We're going to sell, 50,000 barrels of beer off of this or whatever. Right. And it's like
more exciting than houses, barrels of beer.
I mean, right? Sometimes. Yeah. But I actually need that person that says, hey man, I think you're a little too excited about this. I think you're a little too close to it. I think you're a little too pumped about it. Let's poke some holes in it.
You
I
need
need
your
that
black
guy.
hat thinkers on the front end, right? Or even if you're holding on to that, we
Challenge me. Tell
right?
me why it's actually a lousy idea, and then let me defend back to you why it's a good idea. And a lot of times I talk myself out of stuff.
That's right. How do you find those players in your world? We're always talking about having the right profiles that make up the composite of your team. So if I'm really high on the optimism side, I have my black hat thinkers, but I also have my other hats, right? When we think about the 6 thinking hats.
I've never heard that. 6 thinking hats.
Yep. So there's different hats that they have depending on how you deal with ideas. So you're sharing that I might have my black hat thinker. I may have my idea person. I'm going to bring ideas in. I might have my solutions or analyzer who's going to take through and unpack the different solutions. So it's great to use those tools when you're thinking about the team that you're building or the team that you're working with to say, how do we bring different hats to the table?
Sure.
And then it also, because you know how it can get in conversations, you've got your naysayer and you're excited. Jonathan is on cloud 9. You're going to keep us from selling those 50 barrels of beer if with that kind of mindset.
And then you get mad. Yeah.
Knowing how to have solutions and positive talk around it. Remember, green hat, blue hat, black hat.
Interesting. I'm gonna look that up.
Into that.
I think how do you build that team out? I think you got to be purposeful about it. I think you got to talk to people and say, what you don't want to do is surround yourself with a bunch of people that are just like you. And I mean, it's okay that they have at least similar goals, and it's okay that they have maybe some similar values, obviously, right? But just the way that people approach problems. Trent does not approach problems the same way that Jonathan does, right? My buddy Bryan at Primis Mortgage does not approach problems the same way that Jonathan does. Now, he and I are more similar than a lot of folks, but it's not the same. And so he's got, I'm talking about you, Bryan. We're going to talk about you here in a second, by the way. But he's got wisdom that's way better than mine. And I think I'm actually older than him, which is weird. So wisdom and age don't necessarily go together. So maybe that just means he's been through a lot more crap than I have. I don't know. But, and then I've got like Rabia, for example, on the team. And Rabia, I misunderstood Rabia for a long time. And I thought he was very negative and I totally misunderstood him. And what he is he's extremely analytical and very practical. And I'm not. I mean, I'm just not. I am, my head is in the clouds. I am over here. Everything's going to be great. And it doesn't matter what it costs, time or money. And, and he's like, dude, that's stupid. And I'm like, why are you so negative? And he's like, because that's stupid.
That's it. Well, I love that you shared that. So when in the Keller Williams office or brokerage world, I have a partner, our COO, and I am driving forward with ideas and we are moving fast. And then we call her the blocker, right? For the rest of the team. So she's able to come in and say, okay, how can we chunk this down and prioritize what the steps are?
Yeah.
So you get the vision, right? And the drive to do it. And yet the person that has the people on the backside of it, making sure that they understand what that looks like. We have the right objectives set with the right timelines on there to make sure that we end up together as a coherent team.
And you're probably like me. You come up with an idea and you immediately fast forward to 5 years from now when it's beautiful and wonderful and people are looking at it and they're envious and they're, all of that. But there's a lot that has to happen in between there that I forget about. Right.
Absolutely.
Like how did we get here?
It.
That's the stew. That's the mess. That's the problem. That's where everything's going to derail. But I'm already looking at, 5 years from now, it's going to be amazing.
That's right. We're spot on like that together. We have a tool that we use together as a team to really chunk it down. So we have the vision, whatever the big goal is, and then we break down, all right, what are the key strategies and then the priorities to hit that big goal and who owns it? And the who owns it piece is where a lot of that comes out because we might, hey, we're here to whatever this next number or big objective is. But when you have the people that are owning the parts of it, break it down, that's where you can find that mess.
Yeah.
And set some great expectations.
That's where I find my mess a lot of times because then I become a control freak, right? Because I know what the end is supposed to look like. So in order to get to that, all those who owns it pieces, I'm like, I'll do that. I'll do that. I'll do that. I'll do that. And the next thing you know, I'm like,
nothing's happening.
Well, or the only thing that's happening is I'm trying to get it all to happen. And I haven't trusted, back to what I was saying, other people to manage those pieces. And the reality is, if I let them just do it and I let them put their spin on those pieces, the end result 5 years from now is going to be way better than if I had done it by myself.
Yeah, that's right.
Almost always.
It's better together. It's bigger together. I find that great talent, I know you have great talent on your team. They're pushing you further than you ever thought you were going to go, right?
100%.
We have a program that we just rolled out for our Keller Williams agents. And the vision was to deliver this experience for our top producers.
Mhm.
I had mapped it out, what it looked like. And the 2 team members that we have driving that experience in the last 90 days have built something bigger than I ever thought that it could be. That's going to deliver much more value because they were open, they were trusted in the process, they saw the objectives, and you have the right talent.
Yeah.
And we're in a talent market. Let's talk about that. There's so much shift in our market in professionals that for whatever reasons are transitioning away from roles that they've been in for a long time. So any best practices that you're doing to sweep great talent in this market?
And I think, so why do you think that is? And I have a theory. I actually talked with Rachel about this not too long ago. I have a theory as to our profession has people in it that are extremely predictable about certain things. So I'd love to get your opinion on why it is that we do have kind of this unsettled feeling within our field. Yeah, within our industry.
For sure. I think there's a few different reasons. And the first is opportunities. So for great talent, I think there's that ceiling in the industry where if there's not a path for what it looks like to move forward, then I'm looking for a change. Could be economic driven, could be responsibility driven, recognition driven. Yet I'm looking for something and I've hit a ceiling on it. And my leader, for whatever reason, maybe it's the control thing that we were talking about before, or maybe they're not seeing the growth that I've created in their world. And so I don't feel recognized by them, compensated accordingly by them. And so I'm willing to make a move or a transition. I was on a call with great talent last week. They were a leader of a brokerage shutting down, right? There are changes in transitions in this market that's not going to keep everyone in the game, right? And so that's an opportunity for talent. And then I think depending on the demographic, there is and you talked about this, the core alignment with mission, values, beliefs, my core perspectives and what's important to me to get out of a role has changed. And if my leadership is not changing with that, then I'm not in alignment with that role any longer. And I think we have an opportunity to lean in to really ask the question, what's important? Sometimes it's money. A lot of times it's not. Talked about my COO. She's always saying, let's go back and really dig into what matters to them. Because we might think that it's an economic increase or more time off, but it really might be a staff dinner. I asked, one of our leadership teams recently, what do we want to do? Like, we're going to hit this big benchmark. I want to hear. And I'm thinking, go big. And they said, we want to do a staff retreat together where we do something like a top golf or team building activity. And that blew my mind, right? They wanted the relationship piece of it, the connection part of it, even more than the economic piece. So again, a lot of factors.
I'll take the bonus if you don't, if you just need to get rid of it.
You want that, right, Jonathan? We'll put that back over here for more staff retreats or dinner. Perfect. And again, building those relationships and that. So tell me your perspective.
I think it's simpler than that. I really do. I think that you get used to a certain level of activity, and you get used to a certain amount of activity, a certain quantity of activity, and you get used to the income that comes with that. And when forces outside of yourself adjust that for you, right? Our market has definitely changed. Probably September to now, it's been crazy, right? It's dropped, and then now it's busier again, and it's just kind of all over the board. And people don't do change real well, and especially if it's change that they didn't initiate, right? If I created the change, then I look at me, I'm awesome, and let's rock on. But if something outside of me created that change and I didn't adjust to it, and I didn't see it coming, and or maybe I did see it coming, I still didn't adjust to it, kind of denied it, we have a tendency to blame everybody except for ourselves, right? And it's like the epitome of when you point the finger, three are pointing back at you. That's, to me, that is the illustration. And so when that happens, a lot of folks grasp at whatever that they can to change.
I think you just said it in a really nice way. People don't want to work that hard, right? Now, that's not everyone, yet in the market.
I don't know that they don't want to. I don't know that they know how.
That's it. right? So moving into that skill-based market where it's going to take additional efforts and energy that maybe we weren't putting in before.
Yeah.
I think sometimes you want it and sometimes you don't, right? Sometimes depending on
exactly. And
that change piece.
I think that real estate is, especially for agents, right? I know you're talking a little bit about staff and things like that, but real estate agents, especially if they've got in the business in the last 5 years or so, I'm not going to say that it's come easy because it's not easy, but the actual marketing of yourself, that piece of it has not been as difficult as it probably quote unquote should have been, right? And now that has shifted, month of November this past year, 41% fewer closings in Rutherford County than overall than the previous November. That's a lot. I mean, almost half of the business just didn't happen, right? That happened the year before. So how do you adjust to that? Well, it's possible that even your managing broker doesn't know how to adjust to that because they've got in the business in the last 5 years. So if you don't know, if you're doing the same things that you've been doing and they worked and now they're not, what's the problem? Well, I mean, it's got to be my brokerage, right? Or it's got to be fill in the blank because this worked before. It's not working now.
That's a great point. And I think it leans into, it will test it. Do you have the motivation? Do you have the desire and the commitment to do what it takes to get to the next level?
Do you know how?
And do you know how? Well, and I believe it starts with your commitment, right? So if I know how, where there's a will, there is a way.
That's
and if
right.
I know how, and we can talk about pieces of what to do in this market around it. I love that Gary Keller, obviously founder of Keller Williams, number 2 most influential man in real estate. But he says that the massive
who's number 1?
We don't even speak the name. No,
I've always heard that, and I'm like, well, who's number 1?
The name is not coming to me. I think he was number 1 last year. It is over what was Realogy, so the Anywhere brokerages.
Yeah.
That is all of those brokerages combined. Gary's been at least for the last 10 years in the top 5. And he says that massive market share and opportunity is gained in the down market. When you have the motivation, that will, and the commitment to do it matched with the skills. So he said, we're moving into that skill-based market and now's the time to double down on that. And what would you say, I'm interested to hear your perspective and I'll share mine, is the key to that? It's connections and relationships.
100%.
This is a relationship business. And so when I asked myself, gosh, what do I need to do different than what I was doing in the previous market, is to have more conversations, connections, and relationship development, still delivering the value.
You slow down what you're doing and you have the opportunity to slow down. And I think that's great. That doesn't necessarily mean that your business has to slow down. It will. There's some natural ebb and flow to that, right? And to deny that is, honestly, it's kind of ludicrous. It's going to happen. But what do you do? And like you said, in that downtime, and I think you regroup. I think you look for those alliances that make sense. And maybe they don't even make sense because that person's going to give you a bunch of business. Maybe they make sense because that person has a skill, has a relationship, has just a knowledge base. I mean, who knows, right? Look at what you don't have and surround yourself with people that have it.
The value, reciprocation of value.
Yeah.
If I'm an agent right now, I'm looking at, okay, where are those markets that there's always a need? Because we know that people are always selling real estate, buying and selling.
I started
and investing
in 09.
real estate.
Houses still moved.
09.
Yep.
That's right. 09, we got into this market. So it's looking for those pieces and then saying, all right, so how can I double, triple, 10x my efforts and whatever that is around conversations and relationship development. We have a lot of agents right now that are focusing on ones who maybe didn't have the best skill in the partner that they found in their agent. And so they overpriced their properties, or the market shifted and that property was overpriced. So going back and working on market properties that did not sell, that have expired and gone off the market, a lot of success in those stories. For sale by owners, right? They still think that they can sell. And at this point, there's an opportunity for us to really serve them as a real estate consultant to share. And you just said it as we were talking before this, how do I get out in front of the market? Inventory, right? At 2.3 months of inventory is historical lows still a seller market.
But it feels like there's gazillions of houses because we were at 10 days worth of inventory, a year ago.
That's right. Well, you know what? We moved in December, and you and I shared this. We moved from 2 months to 2.3 months. So we ticked up slightly, and yet it does have a feeling, right? The mindset that we're creating around it is things are listing and they're not selling.
Oh my God, you're never going to sell this house. It's been on the market for 45 days.
That's right.
And it's like, come on, man. I had houses that had birthdays in 09.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So it's pivoting the perspective around it and then educating people who need to be served in this market. What are some other, what are your places that your team's looking at in addition to expireds, FSBOs, to find more business in this market?
I preach and preach and preach. There is no substitution for a phone call or a face-to-face interaction. There's no substitution for that. And so what we really are focused on, and it's yes, it's business driven. Yes, it's, working on getting business, but it's really, you said it, it's about relationship building and serving the community that we live in, right? The community that we serve. And so how do we do that, right? How do we go, who are the people that we're looking for, right? Maybe we need an attorney. Maybe we need an accountant. Maybe we need a hairdresser, not me, but not for that purpose.
Yeah, you shine that.
Yeah, sometimes. But, how do we build those relationships and support them in their efforts? And we are purposeful about asking them to reciprocate, to support us as well. And I think the timing of that ask is important, right? Do I even really like you, first of all, right? And then if I do I trust you, right? Do I think that you're competent? And then 3, are you going to deliver more value to the people I send you than what I can even tell them that you're going to deliver? And if I can get a green light on each of those 3 things, there's no reason that somebody won't send me business, right? And when I say send business, that sounds cold. What I really mean is you're doing someone's hair and they're like, hey, we're thinking about selling our house. Does that person say, oh, you got to talk to Jonathan? Like, you have to. You may know somebody, but you really need to talk to Jonathan. And maybe I get that business and maybe I don't, but it's an opportunity.
That's so great. And what I also hear you saying, and I think some of the most successful business partnerships or VIP vendor partnership programs are when you feel the same way. So if you ask me about my hairdresser, we've been together for 16 years. She is best of the best. She may not be the least expensive, but she is the best. And I've referred
You don't want the least expensive.
You don't want the least expensive, right? We've referred so many people to her, and there's the reciprocation there. So it's, who do you feel so great about partnering with, because you know that they're in alignment with the value that you deliver.
And when you send somebody to them, that person's going to come back to you and say, oh, thank you so much for sending me to this person. That's what I want. That's the business that I want, right? I'm going to still sponsor things. I'm going to still be out in the public. I'm still going to go shake hands. I'm still going to go to networking events. Honestly, I enjoy doing that stuff, right? To me, it's a perk of this business. But what I really want is for, this attorney to call me and say, hey man, I got somebody that you need to talk to. I've already told them about you. Here's the phone number.
That's perfect.
That's what I want.
And a great way to do that, in addition to maintaining the relationship, is to send them business too.
That's right.
And so for your clients to know that, man, Jonathan, when I'm with him, I have a lineup of really experienced professionals that I want to be in partnership with, because I know that he's that good, that he's vetted them and they're that good too.
I want to be the I know a guy. That's what I tell people.
You are
all the time.
I know a guy.
I want to be the I know a guy. Which, by the way, I don't have a couple of vendors, so I'm gonna actually share that. There's some holes in my list right now. Some people that have gotten out of business. One retired. God love him. I hate you for retiring, because I need you in my business, in my life. But anyway, I doubt he's watching, so it's okay. So I'm going to be purposely looking for a few of those. So I'll be contacting you if you know somebody that does a few of these industries.
Well, in line with that, we had launched that program that I talked about for our top agents. And a part of that is getting the opportunity to host events. We've got a great speaker that's coming. This is all businesses, whether it's real estate or any professionals. It's build your net worth to 50 million with Brett Tanner, who's with Keller Williams Wealth. He was top 9 in the country for real estate sales. He's just a great entrepreneur, businessman, and he has a wealthy lifestyle. Let 50 million be the placeholder for wealth, but that transcends a lot of different areas in his life.
Mhm.
We're looking for sponsors for those events too. Just a few key preferred elite partners that are going to walk with us through our event journey this year. So I love that you put that out there.
That's
Maybe
awesome.
we're in alignment with some of the sponsors that you might have as well.
Yeah, that sounds good. So, all right. So let's do a couple of actual real estate things here real quick. So we've been talking about the business from the practitioner side of things. Let's talk about it from your perspective. What is going on in the market right now? So what is the message you're sharing with other agents, with other people, with your buddies when you're getting a beer at the bar, whatever? What in the world is going on in the market right now? Where are we?
The beer at the bar. I love that. So we are in, and I always use this, we're always in a fascinating market. And what we've done is we've been on a ramp up over the last 13 years, and we're coming back down to a cool off in our market. There's always real estate to be sold. You and I just highlighted the fact that we have still such low inventory. So because of that low inventory, we haven't seen the prices decrease to match where we were before we had all this momentum in the market.
Interestingly, as Reese probably at this point, probably 10 months ago, I stopped saying this because things started to shift a little bit. But what I told people was, because everybody was like, oh, are we in a bubble? We're in a bubble. We're in a bubble. I'm like, we're not in a bubble. Here's what's going to happen. Okay. And I called it. And it's exactly what happened.
I need you in the magic 8 ball.
I'm telling you, is if you picture yourself in the airport on a moving sidewalk, okay, for the last 3 years, we were freaking sprinting down that moving sidewalk as far as price increases and activity level. And there was a frenzy, right? I mean, we're running down that moving sidewalk. And then we started to, we ran out of breath a little bit and we started walking on the moving sidewalk. Well, right now we're at the end of the moving sidewalk. And you know how, when you get to the end and you're walking on the moving sidewalk and then you get to the end of it and it feels like you hit a wall? That's where we are. But guess what? We're still walking. We're just not on the moving sidewalk walking.
And I'll say we're still walking and we're still pacing with the moving sidewalk. We're just not running right
We're
now.
not doubling it.
Yeah,
yes,
we're
exactly.
not doubling it and we're not running, but we are still moving and we're outpacing a lot of the other markets across the country. So like I said, it's always a great time to buy, sell, and invest, but it's really matching what are the needs of that client. So we're seeing inventory still sitting at lows. We haven't seen the prices come all the way down. So there's still some good equity in the properties that are out there. And if I'm a seller right now, we have a property right now that we're looking at selling.
I just sold one of our rental properties on Friday.
All right. So it's so great. What we're also hearing is multiple offers coming back in. We have many of our agents right now that are in multiple offer situations. Why is that, Jonathan? It's because the inventory is still low. So
and don't forget rates. So, rates hit that high in November, December, and then they started to fall off. I have somebody that just got approved at 5.99. Now he paid a little tiny bit of points. So I think it was 6.125 and he bought it down to 5.99, but they've come off.
The other thing that we're seeing with the movement in the market is that sellers are more aggressive than they were, right? And so what you were just sharing, rates are coming down and incentives are getting creative. So sellers are willing to have conversations. They know that there needs to be a match with the buyers in the market.
Some 2-in-1 arms, or not arms, but 2-in-1 buy downs.
For sure. So buy down incentives, just because you see that price, if I'm a buyer in this market, I'm going to go out now and see my rate, right? What does that mean? And then as I'm looking at the price is an offering in the market. What are some solutions that I can have in communication with my realtor to make sure that the terms match my needs? So the ask is important. I was talking with one of our top agents in one of the centers the other day, and she was just talking about this win-win and going into it. In this market, experienced agents, they're looking for that win. So the win starts with an ask. Let's uncover, right, on both sides what the win looks like, because just because we're here doesn't mean that we can't come together on something that from a term standpoint could be a great fit for a buyer. So if I'm a buyer in this market, it's more competitive for me to get out there than it has been even end of 2022.
And what's interesting is we are still seeing, there was some jokes about this in November where it was talking about sellers still think it's 2021 and buyers think it's 2009, or I don't remember, but basically it was something along those lines.
That's on point.
And it's just not right. But I think a lot of sellers are coming around to, okay, negotiation is back, right? But I'm still getting some buyers that are coming in and they're like, oh, $75,000 below asking price. Let's do this. And I'm like, you're kind of crazy right now. And sellers are turning those things down. They're not even countering. They're just saying no.
Now, I love that you bring that up. And here's a conversation for all of our agents. It's a very similar story that I was talking about with one of our top agents in that center. And she said, here's what happened. They did a low price. It might have been $75,000. It might have been $100,000 off the home. They came back and the other agent went to their client and they said no. Well, my agent said just a hard no. Is there an opportunity for you to go back and say, what would it look like and have that conversation? At that time, she didn't. But a couple of weeks later, they came back around. Right. And so she revisited it. Right. Our due diligence as agents to go back and say, hey, they might not have been willing to 3 weeks ago, but given the context of the market now, what can we do to come together on a win?
But sometimes it works on the other way, the other direction as well. Say hard no to that buyer. And then the buyer comes back 3 weeks later because, again, 2.35 months of inventory, they're not finding anything better. So they're like, okay, fine. So I'm seeing it both. And I think the key here is, do you have an agent? If you are getting into this market as a buyer or a seller, do you have an agent that has enough experience in multiple types of markets, in multiple scenarios to read it and say, this is your best bet. This is your best move. Right.
And is willing to have that clear and direct communication with you. That's our due diligence as agents, to set the right expectations about the market as now and to help consult you through that process. Spot on. And I think you nailed it when you said, what are we talking about at the bar with our buddies? And that is, this is a negotiation skill-based market, right? And so come with the ask. Let's make sure we work through deals together, because as the market tweaks on both sides, we give a little bit to come together.
That's it. And read the scenario. Right. Like you said, and to me, this is that win-win. What is their motivation and what is their pain points, and not that we want to exploit that pain point, but if we can alleviate their pain and it helps our side as well.
In this, now we're speaking to the agents, right? Because this seems like a no-brainer. And I know that we got into a market where this might not have been a best practice for everyone. And it is to call the agent on the other side and to uncover that, right? They're going to protect their client's best interest. But tell me, what's important about this, this, and this? And could this be something that's an opportunity? So really doing the work so we can set our clients up for success.
And don't be afraid to be transparent, right? So sometimes, and obviously protect privacy and things like that, but don't be afraid to be transparent and just say, look, here's what we're thinking. We're not in the business to make anybody angry. Here's why be well reasoned. Here's why we're thinking this. What can we do? What about before we do this? Is there something that we can add to or take away that might make this a win?
That's exactly
and especially if you're going to try to beat them up on price. So anyway,
it's always about the terms and coming together. And this is a great market. If I have a property sell, I'm selling it. If I'm a buyer, I'm getting competitive and understanding what my options are with terms.
It's so much more fun than essentially like the eBay market where we were just throwing out blind offers and hoping that we were the one of 30 that was chosen. It was, I hated that.
That's right.
I hated everything
we used
about
the word
that market.
neutralize earlier, and this is an opportunity for us to create stability again in the market where we are having time for inspections and the process that really protects one of our greatest assets that we're going to purchase in a real estate investment on both sides.
That's it. Yep. Good stuff.
What do we want to close this out with?
So you've hinted at the experience. So is there something from, I know the answer to this is yes, but what specifically?
Love that. Teed me up.
Yeah.
I know what the answer
What do you want to really pep up to any agent that's out there that's watching? What do you really want to talk about that's going on at KW? Whether it's in the Murfreesboro Market Center or company-wide or in your particular couple of market centers. What do you want to talk about? Give me 3 or 4 minutes on, like, what are you the most excited about right now?
Well, and this tees it up. Gary came back. I think it was family reunion of last year, and we're getting ready to go to family reunion again. For those who aren't with Keller, that's our national conference for agents to come around and share industry-wide best practices. And he said they had gone about trying to find a tagline for Keller. And they came up with, Keller's the place where entrepreneurs thrive. We help agents build businesses right? Take it from agent to build businesses that are sustainable so they can build that life by design and fund that life by design. So we loved that. And we thought, what are the things that we're doing really well locally that are helping our entrepreneurs thrive? And what are things that we can do in addition to that to enhance the value that we bring our agents? And we bring agents value at all levels, right? There are times when Keller says, you are the best place for new agents to go and start the business. Yes, we are. And I would say we are the best place for great teams and agents with big businesses to stay from an economic standpoint, from a value standpoint. We say, what are some things we can enhance about that experience for our top agents to continue to be the best, to deliver the value prop? And we created the experience. And the piece of it, the first part of it was around events and education, making sure that we had people like Brett Tanner. We have some CEOs of different companies industry-wide that are going to be coming to speak to us later this year. Some things on leadership, legacy, building best practices, wealth building, to come and make sure that our agents not only get to hear that content, but get to network and mastermind with top like-minded people. We talked about that in the beginning. Mindset's key. If I have those players that are in the room that are thinking big, thinking possibility and solutions, I'm going to be more successful. So we have events as one of the pillars. The other thing that we talked about was that relationship management. Agents are looking for the easy button. I know that there are so many things that I can do or different pieces are, but just make it easy for me to deliver value and stay in communication with my clients, whether it's vendor partners, agents, or clients that have sold from me before, agents across the national network. And so we created a easy button with complimentary, no additional expense to the agent for us to do marketing, social media for them, to help them with their listing management, to make sure that it's exposed to agents across the company, across the country. And so marketing is a tier on that platform. Your database is your business in real estate. When Gary says entrepreneurs thrive when they have database management, relationship connectivity management, and the system is the key. And so now we'll help agents get all those client contact info, friend info, all the info that you have in your phone into a system where you can deliver value consistently to them as part of that database management and marketing piece of it. The next, financials. You and I have talked about this. I might look great on paper with my gross income, and at the end of the day, I don't have any money in the bank. And so we're both passionate about agents being able to have that, what's in their wallet, right, is as exciting as what's on the board for the volume I close or the families that I serve.
Exciting.
Way more exciting. And so we created a wealth platform for those agents for bookkeeping. So it takes the Millionaire Real Estate Agent chart of accounts and it says, I'm going to have separate accounts for my business because I run it like a business. And I'm going to know what's my budget versus actuals. What's my ROI on each of these different areas as I'm making sometimes hard cuts in this market to sustain as we move forward and create even more opportunity or momentum in the market. So that wealth building pillar comes. And again, additional events like this one to help you around wealth management. And then the last piece, and we talked about this, is events. And the events not for the agents in education, but events for the people that they have in their database. So helping them be able to host client events and have that event marketed so I can put that out to my network and sphere, bring them value, and of course, remind them of the relationship that we have when they have real estate needs. So that's awesome. The experience. I am pumped about it. I know that there's a lot. It's a challenging time. It's also an exciting time. And when you lean into those pieces, in addition to what we've always done better than anyone else, which is consulting and education, our agents will win in this market. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's concierge level service. It's a full service agency to the agent that makes them better to be in full service to their clients. I think the tagline that they came up back to the, hey, you got to have better people than you. It was leverage elevated. So how can we anticipate the needs that you have and deliver it flawlessly so you can do what you do best, which is stay in a relationship with your clients? Yeah, I love it. That's good stuff. All right, Miss Sara Stephens, operating partner, OP. Everybody just says OP. I'm like, no, man, that's Ocean Pacific. That was swimwear back in the day. I like that. I'll put some swimwear on. Thanks for having me, Jonathan. Thanks for being here. Hey, if you need, I never did go into this, but if you need a mortgage, call my friend Bryan Nale at Primis Mortgage. And if you need anything real estate related, of course, call the J. Harmon Home Team. And Trent, you got anything? Spread the positive wise? Hey, always looking for supporters, advertisers, sponsors, all the things. Got some really cool shows coming out soon. Just, continuing the mission, bringing light to what's going right. So. That's it. I love it. Bringing light to what's going right. Isn't that fantastic? That's what we do. I'm going to take that with me today. Thank you, Trent. Thank you. Well, thanks for watching. We'll talk to you soon. See you.